And the cool thing behind it is each of them has a different reason for needing this, right? Whether it's I want to scale quicker, or I want to be more profitable, or I want to reduce risk, or I want to, get better financials and tighter controls. All of those use cases are applicable, right? And depending on who we talk to, they will tell us why they love the platform for a different reason, which is kind of the best thing as a founder, right? You get that feedback and you're like, wow, not just do they love it, but they all have a reason for it.
Or all the above.
Or all the above.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Every one of those reasons made sense to me. They all resonated with me.
That's exactly it. We all like to save money. We all like to save time, and we all like to optimize our businesses in the end. And so if you can, get a solution out there that does that all in one, it's a no-brainer to most people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And today is no exception. Today in the studios, we have Nicholas Hess from MedVal. Did I say that right? MedVal?
MedVal, that's
correct. MedVal, thank you. Where'd you come in from today?
New York City. Flew in yesterday night.
Well, thank you very much. Nicholas, or do you go by Nicholas or Nick?
Whatever you prefer.
Okay. Nick. My son-in-law's named Nick, too, so it's easy. So Nick is the founder and CEO of MedVal, and I met him at
Scale.
In Nashville, yeah. And we're going to learn all about him and his very unique approach. And just hold on to your horses here. So, where'd you grow up?
I was originally born in Germany, and then decided at age 15 to go to boarding school. My family was fortunately supportive, and so I lived in the U.S. for 3 years.
Where?
In Connecticut. So East Coast, wonderful time. Big on sports, big on studying there, and then decided to leave the U.S. again. So I didn't stay in the U.S. afterwards.
So at 18, you left the U.S.
18, I moved to Spain, studied business and law, particularly in Madrid. From there, I moved to Australia. I lived there for half a year.
What city in Australia?
Melbourne, greatest city in the world after New York and Madrid. So I lived in Melbourne, moved back to Madrid, moved to Berlin, and then moved with my wife to New York again.
Are you living in New York now?
Now I live in New York, 4 years now.
What were you doing in those various cities after your education was in Spain?
That's correct.
When you were in Australia for a short period of time, were you working? Were you?
I was also studying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Melbourne University. Where I was there with them, and then in Berlin I was working at BCG.
Okay, sure.
And then moved to New York to do my master's at Columbia.
Okay. MBA?
No, public health with a focus on applied biostatistics and data science.
Okay.
And I got a little bored, so at the same time I did a master's in Spain, remote master of law, so I'm actually a lawyer in Spain.
Okay.
And that wasn't enough, so I worked in private equity at the same time as well.
Okay.
And then decided to start a company, so it seems a lot of work has always been...
What was the inspiration behind starting this company? Did you see a need and then solve it, or what were you exposed to that made you think about it?
I'm going to go back quite a lot for that.
Okay, good.
I come from 4 generations of doctors. I'm the first one in 4 generations not to become a doctor.
Okay.
And my mother owns an aesthetic practice. And so growing up, I heard about all the pain points, that are existent in the industry. And it always was exciting to me. I always wanted to go back to healthcare, but I didn't know how. And so when I moved to New York, I was working in private equity. We actually did a roll-up deal in the accounting space, which was incredibly exciting. And I graduated and went on to analyze 50 different healthcare verticals and kind of found my 3 that I thought were really exciting. And we were actually about to do a roll-up in the aesthetic space because of that. And we had our first acquisition target identified, and I was spending time with them. And I was in the front, and I saw open closets with tens of thousands of dollars of products. I saw a front desk person place a random order, $20,000 order for some injectables without any kind of permissions, any kind of process around it. And I went back to the family office I was working with at the time, and I said, we can't do a roll-up in this. I mean, if you want to buy 50 of these, we need processes around how to do that, and there's nothing like that out there. We need to build that solution. And so that's really where the idea came from, and where we said, all right, instead of buying 50 practices, trying to run hundreds of people in terms of staff and so on, let's build a solution that will allow other people to buy 50 or to run multi-location practices or to scale 20 to 40 locations a year. And that's really where ultimately we then started Medval for.
And what did you do at that point?
So at that point, early on, typical entrepreneurial story. I was running around New York, signing up very original clients, understanding what the pain points were, how we could solve it. And from there, the company just, kept growing. We hired our first engineers, built out the first
So you raised
version.
the money.
Bootstrapped it at very first. And then I was fortunate that the private equity firm or family office that I used to work for is now our main supporter, and they believed in the vision, and they were really helping us with a pre-seed and a seed round, and allowed us to then grow as a company further from there. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And then is this software driven?
Fully software driven. So we're a technology company in the end. And the way you can think about it is, whether it's a multi-location owner, single location owner, PE group, franchise, you name it, we take on your entire inventory and procurement management for you. So you don't need to worry about that anymore afterwards. So we manage.
How do you know what I need?
So we know what gets delivered. We know what you're consuming based on services performed. We recommend what you should be ordering and when, and then we do the ordering on your behalf until it gets delivered again. So that full circle essentially is closed.
And how are you paid?
We are subscription model. Subscription model, obviously based on what exactly you need from us, right? Modular speaking, but we're a subscription model as a business.
Do you sell the product to the physician for the same price that you buy it for, or
That's
do you
exactly.
make the delta?
No, we do not charge any percentage upcharge to it. We sell it for what we buy it.
On the other hand, do you cut deals that are more advantageous than an individual physician can do?
Absolutely.
Since you're buying bigger quantities?
Yes and no. We split products into what we call discretionary, non-discretionary products. So you think about your injectables, those are non-discretionary. If you want to buy Botox, you only get that from Allergan, right? There's no other place to get that from.
Correct.
And so we don't get involved in those price negotiations. That's each owner does their own negotiations and their own items. But when it comes to discretionary, so think about your insulin syringes, your gauzes, all of those other items, right? We can go out and find material price savings. So we see over 15% savings for our clients on all of those products, which ends up being a massive amount.
And you pass it on to the client.
That's
and the
it.
client pays you a recurring fee, a monthly fee, or yearly fee, whatever it looks like, quarterly fee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating.
And the exciting thing behind it is just the savings on the product already cover our fee for our clients. And then you get all the additional add-ons to it, the time savings, the optimization, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But so the benefits are just, unbelievable from what we see with our clients.
And when did you form your company?
In 2023. Yeah.
So you have about a 2-year track record?
That's
year and a half,
exactly
2 years?
Yeah.
Are you working with roll-ups right now?
Yeah. We do.
Besides the family-based office and the one you originally, the seed money people.
Yeah, we work with several roll-ups.
In the aesthetic space?
In the aesthetic space specifically. Yeah, that's exactly it. Several roll-ups, several franchises, several multi-location owners, corporate groups, you name it, right? And the cool thing behind it is each of them has a different reason for needing this, right? Whether it's I want to scale quicker, or I want to be more profitable, or I want to reduce risk, or I want to, get better financials and tighter controls. All of those use cases are applicable, right? And depending on who we talk to, they will tell us why they love the platform for a different reason, which is kind of the best thing as a founder, right? You get that feedback and you're like, wow, not just do they love it, but they all have a reason for it.
Or all the above.
Or all the above.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Every one of those reasons made sense to me. They all resonated with me.
That's exactly it. We all like to save money, we all like to save time, and we all like to optimize our businesses in the end. And so if you can, get a solution out there that does that all in one, it's a no-brainer to most people that we speak to.
So how would a person get in touch with you to initiate such a service?
So interestingly enough, most of our clients so far have all been referral based. So we've been very private as a company, like I was mentioning to you before. At this point in time, if somebody wants to get in touch through our website, medval.com, you can book a demo with us, or find me on LinkedIn, or see if someone in your area is actually using us, which is a likely possibility.
How many clients do you have right now?
I can't disclose the number.
Okay.
But it's
fair enough.
It's a lot across the US.
In less than 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So medval.com is medvale.com.
medvelle.com.
VELLE, MEDVELLE.com. If you want, or if you're interested in doing this, I can think of a few people I'm going to hook you up with when this program is over.
Would love that.
Because I'm on the board of directors of a roll-up company, and we're always looking for efficiencies. And I.
It's simple, right? Because you do a roll-up, in the end, you're valued as a multiple of your EBITDA, right?
Yes.
And so if you can improve your margin in the end, right, while taking out risk of the business, risk of fraud, risk of people, risk of all of those things, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Similar for corporate groups, right? If you think about wanting to open 5, 10, 20 locations a year, you need a process around this, because otherwise you're just going to build your central team like there's no tomorrow. That's not efficient, One of the problems might be that you're under delivering in the case of a busy day or a busy week. How often does that happen? Never.
It's never happened.
It's never happened, yeah. We have a phenomenal team that manages support on a literal 24/7 basis. And I think the second thing behind it is obviously because we're a technology company, right? A lot of it is automated. And so we don't necessarily care if today is a big day or a small day. I'll tell you a story. This is how far this goes for us. Okay. So you do an injectable order with us, and this goes out to your rep, right? The rep doesn't respond. It's Thursday night. Cutoff is, depending on the company, at 6 p.m. We will flag this right before, and we will have that order placed manually with the support team or via a platform to make sure that you get that product the next day, even if your rep ultimately, was out of commission or something. Another version of that is you place that order, FedEx tried to deliver it, it didn't get there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The system flags that. We make sure that FedEx reattempts that delivery so you get your product in the end. That's that white glove level of support that you need in order to really run your business and not worry about the rest. And that's what we do.
Couple more questions. So, what's the average cost per month to a practice, and how is it calculated? Based on how busy they are, or is there a standard fee?
It really depends on the kind of group that we work with and what they need, right? So we have two verticals. We work in the medical side of things, so medical aesthetics, that's dermatology, cosmetic surgery, med spa. Mm-hmm. And then we work in the wellness/spa and massage side of things.
Okay.
And so that's your spa and massage, your fitness, right, and so on brand. And so depending on where you fall, that's a difference.
Okay.
And then also level of customization, right? So we have clients of ours that say, hey, we want a custom dashboard that shows us, utilization rates on these products, and that shows us theft and shrinkage, and that shows us, all of the financial details around our ordering and so on. That's very different than somebody who says, I'm going to take this out of the box, right? Basic reporting, and we're good to go. And so pricing depends. We typically do that really one-to-one with the client.
Can you give me a range? What's the lowest? What's the highest? Can you give me any raise?
I can't give you a range on the pricing, because it really, really depends on each. What we always thrive for, and which is what we see consistently, is a 5 to 7x return on the investment with us. So if you spend $X with us, you'll get 5 to 7x back. And that's consistent of savings. Yeah, and that's across the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all very interesting and exciting to me. And I just thought of another company that could utilize your services. What are the downsides?
I think when we look at the industry, we all want to do the same thing, right? Which is grow, right? That's our target in the end. There are a lot of phenomenal companies out there, and there are companies out there that really only function because they have phenomenal sales personnel, but not necessarily a good product. The system catches situations where you overstock your practice massively because you thought this was a good idea, and essentially says, I don't know if this is a good idea right now. And so if you have a great product that sells well, you're going to see sales skyrocket because you don't stock out any more of items, because we forecast what you need, and your stock levels are what they should be. If you have a bad product that doesn't sell, and really the only reason why you're around is because you keep pushing things onto people, system won't make those recommendations because the data doesn't show you that you actually need it in the end. So the only downside that we really see is in cases where you actually shouldn't be buying a product, and then that product is actually not recommended. You can still buy it, right? But we wouldn't actually recommend it. And I think the second thing behind it is you need to trust technology in the end, right? If you're very old school and you do everything by pen and paper and you're not willing to change, we're not the right system for you. Okay. Right? This is innovation. This is the next step, the next iteration that we believe a space like this needs. And this is what we've seen within clients. But you need to be willing to adopt technology and really drive with it.
How do you communicate with the manager or the physician? I'm not sure, the person, the decision maker. Is that all electronically, or do you over the phone, or do you have personal in person? Or do you have sales staff? How does that look?
Really, really good question. Multi-channel. So
sure.
via the phone, via text, via email, right? Whatever is what they prefer to do themselves. It ends up being mostly via email because it's the easiest, most standard kind of process behind it.
Okay.
As a system itself, we are a web-based system. So you have a platform, right? You log into that platform, and that's who we are as a company, right? Is ultimately our system behind it. But any extra communication outside of it would be multi-channel. Yeah. And so it has been really, really fun working closely with those companies because you get to meet incredible people, super smart managers, and when we get to interact with them and get their feedback and improve the product and drive things further forward, that's what gets us going every day.
I bet.
Yeah.
This sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
Are you working with any of the big companies that make the product?
Yeah, so any product we have over 300 approved vendors on our system that we purchase from. And really any product that you want or need, as long as it's legal, we will procure on your behalf. So whether it's the injectables, it's the skincare retail, it's office supplies, it's back bar items, you name it, it doesn't matter. Everything will flow through our system in the end.
And I would think you could also do consumables. What about capital sales?
Capital sales, we've gotten questions about that, especially from some of our multi-location groups, and we support on that. The capital sales process is a little different, right? There's a lot of negotiation around, interest rates and terms and so on and so forth. So we have not gotten actively into that. It could be something in the future, but it's not the biggest pain point that we see right now for our practices in the day-to-day.
Is your primary office in New York with you?
Yeah, so we have two locations. Our headquarters is in New York, and then we have an office in Madrid. And one of the reasons for that is we can provide, better coverage in terms of support. The second reason is I'm originally from there, and the talent over in Europe is just unbelievable. The kind of people that just want to work, that want to do great things. And so I'm really proud of our Spanish team and just how good they are and what they do. Are
you also marketing to Spanish physicians and European physicians?
No, we're fully US or North America based. So we don't do anything outside of North America.
But you have an office in Madrid?
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should check out that office. I love Madrid.
I put it this way, our top clients might need to do a trip to Spain and spend some time with us there in the end.
I love Spain.
Exactly.
And I've been all over. And
it's a beautiful place. Food
is
great.
Fantastic.
It's fun to be there with the team because when we go into our office there, we're the first ones in, it's the last ones out.
I bet.
And it's partially because obviously this kind of Spanish mentality around siesta and so on, it's it is partially true. But there are people there that really want to drive amazing results.
In your office in Madrid, do you allow siesta?
We don't do siestas.
One of the things I love about Spain is I love siestas.
When we get client visits, they can do siestas for sure. And we'll tell them where to get the tapas from and so on. But no, we have a lot to do. We're growing very fast, and we are driven fundamentally by the belief that doctors should be treating clients. Nurses and RNs should be treating clients. They shouldn't be working on administrative tasks in their business. That's a waste of time, right? And if you look at the aesthetic space, it's so archaic in how a lot of things are still being done. When we look at some of the technology out there, it's not good, right? Like it really is behind. And so if we want to take that next step as an industry, you need great technology to have people focus on what matters. And that's the client in the end, not worry about the rest. And so that's our kind of ethos. That's what drives us forward. And we're working very hard to, drive that further.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute delight talking to you. Are there any other things you'd like to share with our guests?
I think that when we look at the industry specifically, we see this as, and this is more like a rally cry for the industry, right? We see this as the next frontier, right? We've seen now the wellness side really grow heavily with, semaglutide, tirzepatide, and so on. I think that there's so much more opportunity in this, right? When you think about regenerative medicine, you think about wellness and so on. And so we're excited to be a partner to those players that really are driving the future of what aesthetic can look like, but more so than, what aesthetic is right now, what it can be. why go to a stale, place to get your blood drawn and get advice if you can go to a place where you get a glass of champagne and, a nice scent and music, right? And really enjoy what you are experiencing, right? And those places are what I think everyone that listens to, your show, and I think where we're all driving towards, right?
Absolutely. There's no question.
That's the place to be.
Yep. I agree with you. It's a very exciting time.
It should be that, and so we love working with, doctors like yours, innovators, forward thinkers that say, hey, we know what needs to change, we know what needs to get done, and we have all the opportunities, that we could wish for. Let's make it.
Are you at the point where you would have any interest in exhibiting at one of the meetings?
Absolutely.
So the Aesthetic Society, which is the American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, they have an annual meeting. I'm the past president, but I am the chairman of industry relations, and you are industry, and I am the chairman. And one of my goals and one of my jobs is to help in terms of getting you on the exhibit floor.
Okay.
And our next meeting is in the end of April or the beginning of May. I can get it to you in Boston, not too far from where you live.
Absolutely.
And I would like to hook you up with Erica, who's in New York, and see if a exhibit table or space is in your future.
We would love to be there.
In addition to that, you may have a chance also to present at the meeting before. I also am the co-founder and chairman of the AIS, Aesthetic Innovation Summit. And we'd love to have you present this information and get to know people, as well as hot topics. So perhaps some of the people that are in the Aesthetic Society that are your customers might talk about what you offer, or even potentially you, depending on if that's the appropriate. I don't run hot topics, but it's a wonderful portion of the Aesthetic Society meeting that precedes the meeting. It's part of the meeting, but it's not CME driven. So we can talk about commercial endeavors, we can talk about different things without the CME handcuffs.
Phenomenal.
And I'll give you more information about that, and I would really encourage you to do it, because our members would love to hear about this exciting technology and efficiencies.
We would love to be there. And I was at AIS this year, and I was so amazed. And I will say completely honestly, just because there is innovation happening, right? And bringing those people all together is exactly what we need to do. And
it's an outgrowth of this program.
Which is phenomenal. I mean, that's why I was excited. I mean, to be here as well. It's nice to see that things are moving forward and things are being driven forward. And we're a young company with a lot of young energy internally as a business, and being part of that growth with people that have the wisdom in the space and understand what needs to get done is where I think magic ultimately happens.
Fantastic. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And even though I'm a dinosaur, for years I've been pounding on this drum and trying to push us forward into the next century. And it's great to have your young mind, and you're so intelligent and a polyglot to boot, and I've lived all over the world, which I can't wait to talk to you about off camera. But I want to thank you for coming out here. Are you going back to New York today?
Going back tomorrow, meeting some clients here in the city,
wonderful.
spending a little bit of time, and some potentially new clients as well.
Great.
Which is always good.
Well, along those lines, I would encourage them all to go to the Technology of Beauty and go to YouTube, the Technology of Beauty, and check the little blocks on the upper left-hand side that says subscribe. And the more subscribers we have, the better marketing we have for you and your program. And this program you can share with your clients and do whatever you'd like with it. And it's been highly educational. I want to thank you again for sharing all this with us.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to working with you further.
Absolutely. My pleasure. I appreciate you having me on. This has been really enjoyable.
Yes.
And phenomenal what might come out of it.
All right. Well, there you have it. An exciting day here in the Technology of Beauty with Nicholas Hess. Thank you very much. We'll see you every Tuesday with a new program. Check us out.